What if everything you thought you knew about yourself could be torn apart? That's exactly what happens when a spiritual awakening occurs. In this audiobook, we'll dive deep into that experience, and it will challenge everything you believe about yourself and your world. It can unravel familiar truths and push you into a perspective so powerful, your life may never feel the same again. Welcome back, friends. Last time, we explored Kundalini and its profound effects. And today we're going even further with spiritual awakening. A force so intense it can shake your foundations and redefine who you are. Before we begin, share in the comments where you're listening from and what changes you're noticing in your life right now. And if you haven't subscribed yet, join our community of seekers, uncovering rare insights and transformative ideas. Let's begin. There is a moment, a single, inexplicable point in the vast timeline of a human life when the universe seems to shift. It is not a loud moment, not always. Often, it is a whisper that slips through the cracks of a busy day, a quiet fracture in the wall of reality you have taken for granted. You might be stirring your coffee, stuck in traffic, or lying in the silent darkness before sleep. And it arrives. A question, a feeling, a deep, unsettling, and irrevocable knowing that something is profoundly wrong with the picture of life you have been sold, and simultaneously, that something is profoundly, mysteriously right. This, my friend, is the invitation. It is the first, gentle tremor of the spiritual awakening that is destined to ruin your life, and you must let it ruin the life that is too small for you. You must let it shatter the illusions that have kept you comfortable, miserable, and safe. The life you have known is a collection of stories told to you by your parents, your culture, your fears, and your past. You have built a home inside these stories, and for a while, it kept the rain out. But now, a new wind is blowing, and it is threatening to tear the roof right off. I know the terror that whisper can bring. I know the profound disorientation of feeling the ground, which you were so sure was solid, turn to shifting sand beneath your feet. The friends who no longer understand you. The career that feels like a hollow pantomime. The relationships that suddenly seem to be made of glass. This is not the failure of your awakening. This is its first, brutal, and necessary success. It is ruining what was never real to make way for what is. This book is not here to save you from that ruin. It is here to guide you through the magnificent rubble. It is here to show you that on the other side of that devastation is a life of such authenticity, such power, and such peace, that the person listening to this right now could scarcely imagine it. The journey you are about to begin is the most important one you will ever take. It is the journey from who you were told to be to who you truly are. It is the path from the noisy crowd to the silent, sovereign self. So, take a breath. You have been chosen not for an easy path, but for a real one. And it begins now. Chapter 1. The Spiritual Awakening That Feels Like a Breakdown. Let me speak to you directly for a moment. You are listening to this, perhaps in your car, or on a walk, or in the quiet of your own home, because something has shifted inside you. The world has lost its color. The music has gone out of your life. You look at the faces of your loved ones and feel a terrifying distance, a pane of glass between you and the rest of humanity. You are asking the big, frightening questions. What is the point of all this? Who am I? Really? Is this all there is? And the world, if you were to confess this to it, might call it a breakdown. It would offer you medication, a vacation, a self-help book about thinking more positively. But you know it is something else, something deeper, something sacred. A man or a woman does not simply wake up one day and decide to question the fundamental nature of reality out of boredom. This is not a hobby. This is a holy disruption. The soul has reached its limit within the confines of the small self. the ego, and it is beginning to push against the walls. What feels like a breakdown is, in truth, a breakthrough. It is the necessary chaos that precedes a new creation. The individual who walks through this fire does not do so because they are weak, but because a strength they never knew they possessed is calling them forth. The universe is not punishing you. It is initiating you. It is scraping away the paint of a lifetime of conditioning to reveal the masterpiece beneath. The pain you feel is not the pain of destruction, but the pain of a birth. And every birth is preceded by a period of tremendous pressure and darkness. You are in the womb of your own becoming. Chapter 2. The unbearable lightness of seeing through your story. There is a story you have been telling yourself since you were a child. It is a story about who you are, what you are capable of, what you deserve, and how the world works. It is a story written by the hands of your parents, your teachers, your first heartbreak, your greatest failure. You have worn this story like a suit of clothes for so long, you have forgotten it is not your skin. Your spiritual awakening is the moment you begin to feel the seams of that suit. It starts to itch. It no longer fits. The narrative of, I am not good enough, or I must be successful to be loved, or the world is a dangerous place, begins to feel like a lie. This is because it is. It is a relative truth, a perspective, but it is not the absolute truth of what you are. To see through your story is the most liberating and the most terrifying thing a person can do. It is liberating because you suddenly realize you are not the victim of your past, you are the author of your present. But it is terrifying because, without that story, who are you? You are the awareness that is reading these words. You are the silent, spacious consciousness in which the entire drama of your life, the thoughts, the feelings, the events unfolds. You are not the character in the story. You are the witness of it. The burdens you have carried for decades were never yours to carry. They were just props in a play you no longer have to perform in. The weight of the world lifts not because the world has changed, but because you have realized you were never actually carrying it to begin with. Chapter 3. The Dark Night of the Soul. Your crucible of transformation. Every great hero's journey, in every myth and legend ever told, contains a passage through the underworld, a period of utter defeat, confusion, and despair. This is not a flaw in the story. It is the heart of it, and your awakening is the greatest hero's journey you will ever undertake. Your underworld has a name. It is called the Dark Night of the Soul. This is the part of the spiritual awakening that many do not speak of, for it is too raw, too real. It is the valley between the death of the old you and the birth of the new. The initial blissful glimpses have faded. The old life is in ruins behind you, but the new one has not yet come into view. You are in the liminal space, the sacred void, and it is dark. You will feel abandoned by God, by the universe, by your own spirit. You will feel a loneliness so absolute it seems to swallow the very stars. You will wonder if you have made a catastrophic mistake. You will beg for the ignorance of your old life back. Listen to me now, and listen well. This darkness is not your enemy. It is your crucible. It is the fire that burns away the very last remnants of your attachment to the false self. The ego is putting up its final, most desperate fight, and its weapons are fear and despair. But you must understand, the fact that you can experience this darkness, this profound sense of isolation, proves the existence of a light within you that is aware of it. The eye cannot see itself. The one who witnesses the darkness is not itself dark. This dark night is a sign of profound progress. It means you are going all the way. You are not just dabbling at the edges of transformation. You are being remade at the cellular level of your soul. Surrender to it. Do not try to escape it. Sit in the darkness. Let it teach you what it must. for it is only in the deepest darkness that one can truly learn to see. Chapter 4. The ego is not the enemy. It's the student. So much of modern spiritual talk is a war against the ego. It is cast as the villain, the source of all suffering, a monster that must be slain. This is a profound misunderstanding, and it leads to a hidden, subtle form of violence against oneself. You are about to see this in a way that will change everything. Your ego is not your enemy. Your ego is the part of you that learned how to survive in this world. It is the collection of strategies and defenses you built to protect the beautiful, innocent, and vulnerable consciousness that you were as a child. It is not evil. It is misguided. It is like a loyal guard dog that has been trained to attack every shadow, long after the real danger has passed. Your spiritual awakening is not about killing the guard dog. It is about retraining it. It is about becoming the master of the house, so the dog can finally relax at your feet. When you fight the ego, you are simply using one part of the ego to fight another. It is a civil war that can never be won. The true work is one of integration and compassionate understanding. You must look at the ego not with judgment, but with curiosity. Why does it need to be so proud? So defensive? So afraid? What is it trying to protect? When you approach it with this loving awareness, something miraculous happens. The ego, feeling seen and understood for the first time, begins to relax. Its frantic energy dissolves. It stops running the show and takes its rightful place as a useful tool in your human experience. It becomes the student, and the vast, silent awareness that you are becomes the teacher. Chapter 5. The Silent Pulse. Finding God in the space between thoughts. Where is God? Is he a bearded man in the sky? A distant force? A philosophical concept? The spiritual awakening path leads you to a discovery that is far more intimate, far more immediate, and far more mystical than any of these ideas. God is not a person. God is a presence. God is the silent, intelligent, loving consciousness that is the source of everything. And you are not separate from it. You are an expression of it, a unique, individual wave upon the vast, limitless ocean of God. But how do you experience this? You will not find it in your thoughts. Your thoughts are the ripples on the surface of the ocean. To know the ocean itself, you must go deeper, to the stillness beneath the waves. You must find the space between your thoughts. I want you to try this right now. As you are listening, close your eyes for just a moment. Take a breath, and instead of following your next thought, wait for the gap. After one thought ends, and before the next one begins, there is a tiny, almost imperceptible moment of pure silence. A moment of pure being. That is the doorway. In that space, there is no problem to solve, no past to regret, no future to fear. There is only isness, only presence. This is not something you need to create. It is already here, right now, as the background of all your experience. It is the canvas upon which the painting of your life is drawn. Most people are so lost in the details of the painting, the colors, the drama, the figures, that they never notice the canvas itself. Your awakening is the shift in attention from the painting to the canvas. And when you make that shift, you realize that the canvas is not empty. It is alive. It is intelligent. It is love itself. And it is what you are. Chapter 6. Synchronicity. When the universe starts winking at you, as you walk this path, a strange and magical thing begins to happen. The universe, which once seemed like a cold, random, and mechanical place, begins to feel alive, intelligent, and responsive. You think of a friend you haven't spoken to in years, and they call you minutes later. You ask the universe a question, and you open a book randomly to the exact page that holds your answer. You see repeating numbers everywhere, 11:11 on the clock, 333 on a license plate. These are not coincidences. These are synchronicities. They are the universe's way of winking at you. A man or a woman who experiences synchronicity is receiving a confirmation from the cosmos that they are on the right path. It is a sign that the separation between the inner world of your mind and the outer world of events is an illusion. At the deepest level, they are one. Carl Jung called it an causal connecting principle. It is meaning that manifests as coincidence. These are not logical events. They are mystical ones. They are the threads of the grand tapestry becoming visible. When you notice a synchronicity, do not just dismiss it with a skeptical mind. Pause. Feel into it. Acknowledge it. Say, "Thank you." This act of recognition strengthens the connection. It tells the universe you are paying attention. It is the language of the soul speaking directly to you through the medium of reality itself. The world is not a dead thing to be conquered. It is a living, breathing intelligence to be in relationship with. Synchronicity is the beginning of that beautiful, conscious conversation. Chapter 7. The End of Seeking. What happens when you arrive where you never left? The spiritual path is often framed as a relentless seeking enlightenment, seeking peace, seeking God. We devour books, attend retreats, and follow teachers, always looking for the next piece of the puzzle that will finally make us whole. There is a hidden, painful irony in all this seeking. What if what you are seeking is the one who is seeking? The great secret, the one that your spiritual awakening has been trying to show you all along, is that you are already that which you seek. Peace is not a destination. It is your fundamental nature, obscured by mental noise. God is not a being to be found, but the being that you are. You are like a man searching everywhere for his glasses, only to realize they have been on his head the entire time. This seeking must come to an end, not because you have found some grand answer out there, but because you have realized there was never anything to find. The seeker and the sought are the same. This is the final, glorious collapse of the spiritual journey. It is the end of the road, and you discover you were always home. This does not mean you stop growing or learning. It means the frantic, needy, desperate quality of the search evaporates. Your life becomes not about becoming, but about being. You engage with life from a place of fullness, not lack. You may still read books, but you are no longer a beggar looking for scraps. You are a connoisseur, appreciating a fine meal. You live from the answer, not from the question. And the answer is the simple, undeniable, magnificent fact of your own conscious presence, here and now. Chapter 8. Embodying the Infinite. How to walk as spirit in a human world. A profound realization is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a new one. It is one thing to have a glimpse of your true nature as infinite awareness during a meditation. It is another thing entirely to bring that awareness into a tense business meeting, an argument with your partner, or while standing in a long, slow-moving line at the grocery store. This is the stage of embodiment. This is where heaven meets earth. Your work now is to allow the infinite truth of what you are to express itself through the finite human person that you are. It is to let spirit have hands and feet and a voice. How does love pay the bills? How does consciousness deal with a difficult neighbor? This is the sacred art of living your awakening. It begins with a simple, moment-to-moment practice, bringing your attention into your body. Feel the aliveness in your hands. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Feel the breath moving in and out. The mind lives in the past and future, but the body is always, only, ever now. By anchoring your awareness in the physical sensations of the present moment, you become a bridge between the formless and the formed. You walk through the world, doing all the things a human does, but you do them from a place of inner stillness. You become a calm center in the midst of life's storms. Your actions are no longer driven by the reactive ego, but are spontaneous, intelligent, and compassionate responses to the situation at hand. You are no longer a human being trying to have a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being, mastering the experience of being human. Chapter 9. The sacred responsibility of your awakening. To see the truth is to inherit a great responsibility. It is not a responsibility of burden, but one of profound privilege. Your awakening was not just for you. The light that has been ignited within you is not meant to be hidden under a basket. It is meant to shine. But understand this: your primary responsibility is not to go out and save others, or to convince anyone of anything. The most powerful way you can serve the world is to continue your own inner work, to become so established in peace, love, and authenticity that your very presence becomes a healing force. When you are no longer run by your past, by your fear, by your need for approval, you stop polluting the collective consciousness with that energy. You become a clean, clear channel for a higher frequency. Just by being you, you make it easier for others to remember who they are. Your calm gives them permission to relax. Your authenticity gives them courage to be real. Your freedom silently announces that freedom is possible for them, too. This is a sacred duty. The world is not changed by loud declarations, but by quiet transformations. It is changed one healed heart, one clarified mind, one liberated soul at a time. Your own liberation is the greatest gift you can possibly offer to a suffering world. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your inner peace. It is the most potent medicine there is. Chapter 10. The Unlived Life. What awaits you on the other side of ruin. So, what remains after the spiritual awakening has done its ruinous and beautiful work? What is left when the false self has been dismantled and the dust has settled? It is not a barren, empty landscape. It is a world reborn. It is the beginning of the unlived life, the life you were always meant to live, but were too afraid to claim. This is the life of effortless flow. It is a life where your actions are aligned with your soul's purpose. You are not following a script written by society. You are dancing to a music only you can hear, and your dance is your unique contribution to the whole. Challenges still arise, but they are no longer perceived as threats to your identity. They are seen as the very curriculum of your growth, the catalysts for your evolution. The person who has crossed this threshold does not live without pain, but they live free from suffering. Pain is a sensation. Suffering is the story you tell about it. Without the story, pain passes through you like a cloud through the sky, leaving the sky unchanged. You live with a deep, unshakable trust in the intelligence of life itself. You understand that every person, every event, every moment is a perfect part of a perfect whole, even when your human mind cannot comprehend how. The life that was ruined was a cage. The bars were made of your beliefs, your fears, your attachments. You are now free. Free, not to do anything you want, but to be who you truly are. And from that being, action flows that is creative, joyful, and of immense benefit to all. This is the promise that was whispered to you in that first, quiet moment of awakening. It was not a lie. It was an invitation home. And now, you are here.